Here we go, Week 5 NFL Gambling Show. This is the Hardline, Michael Merlo, John Michael Masiri, here with you, JM. I'm going to give you a little run through the standings here before we get started, and it'll be very, very quick. We don't have to discuss them whatsoever, okay? It's you. You are 6-6, a nice 500 there with 11 stars.
Thanks, bro.
And I'm 4-8 with 7 stars, so we'll just move on from there, and I'll ask you how you're doing.
I'm doing good, bro. Would be nice to hit a 3-star, consistently. 1 and 3 this year on the 3-star brutal, but I'm a little 1 and 2-star merchant. Clawing our way back here. Got off to a rough start.
At least you're hitting them.
Record-wise. Yeah. Got off to a bad start record-wise, but we're clawing our way back now, back to 500, and we're not dipping below 500 for the rest of the year. All right.
I don't want to make excuses. It is Wednesday right now. It's tough to make these picks a few days out. But, I'm not making excuses. I have to be better. I have to figure things out.
That sounds like a bit of an excuse, though.
I have to figure things out and get on the right track, on the right mental track here.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I honestly don't know. I mean, I'm getting to Sunday and winning some games.
So there's no mental block from the week. Sorry, my computer's giving me this stupid notification again that I'm low on memory or something.
I think I'm good. No, you're good.
Yeah?
I think I'm good. I don't know what's wrong. It's tough to make the picks early. I'll say that. All right, you want to say it's an excuse?
It's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, it's a very quick turnaround.
I will
say I should have had the balls to put the Ravens on last week, and I didn't. I didn't do it. So the Ravens should have been on that board.
You know what? Me and you were in the same boat, bro, because we both agreed on it, and we felt pretty strongly about it, and we both decided not to put them on.
So we're going to figure things out here. We're going to take a run through some of the primetime games this week. For other reasons, we're not going to have the London game on here, but we will discuss that later on. For right now, though, we are going to start with the 425 game of the week, which is very interesting to me. That's the Packers and the Rams in Los Angeles. The Rams are 3-point underdogs at home. JM, a very interesting game. Two teams coming off of losses, one on the road for the Rams, one at home for the Packers. Love's second start back from the injury. Do you expect them to be better here?
I would really hope that they're better. I mean, a tough showing last week against the Vikings, clawed their way back into the game after an awful start. Defense was a little banged up, missing Jair Alexander, but defense did not play well at home. Speaking of bad defenses, you got the Rams hosting, which I'm sure there'll be plenty of green and yellow jerseys in those stands, considering the way that stadium is basically a neutral site. But Mike, I'm gonna expect a bounce back from the Packers here. I think they really need it. I think Jordan Love. We made the joke last week about Malik Willis. Oh, he's 2-0. Jordan Love's 0-2. Is there a quarterback controversy? But it would, all jokes aside, it would be nice for Love to finally get that first one of the season under his belt.
Yeah, it's a tough line, 3 points. I sway one way here. I think I do lean Rams in this game just because I think the Rams need it more. I think the Rams are desperate here. Once again, they were desperate 0-2 at home against the San Francisco 49ers, and they end up coming back and winning that game. I think Jordan Love still, listen, he's going to be a week healthier, but, I'm sure he's not feeling great. And I expect the Rams and Sean McVay to show up in this matchup here. I trust McVay to have his team ready to go, even dealing with so many injuries up front, so many injuries in that wide receiver room. They're getting a little bit healthier. So they're healthier than they were in that 49er game. That's for sure. I mean, that was a banged up team. So I expect McVay to have his guys ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, he's done a great job getting the offense going, even without Kupp and Nakua. And I'm really interested to see when those guys come back because, last year it was, Kupp was hurt and Puka took over the role. And then for what it seemed to be for the rest of the season this year, but it only lasted about a quarter and a half, Puka was hurt. And it was like, all right, Kupp is going to step back into his role here. He got a lot of attention. And then Kupp goes down. So when both those guys come back, it's going to be really interesting to see how the roles get assigned and who gets more targets and stuff like that. But for right now, Matthew Stafford's got to deal with Tutu Atwell and Jordan Whittington and other guys like that. So
I see he's in your starting lineup this week.
Hey, Tutu Atwell is in my starting lineup. He had a nice, solid game. Yeah, times are tough here.
Times are tough
for the JM fantasy team. If anybody can tell that I have Tutu Atwell not even in the flex spot. He's in the wide receiver 2 spot
That's a problem.
right now. So it's tough sledding over here, but we're trying to keep our head above water. But Mike, getting ahead of myself. I'm gonna take the Packers with the points here.
Yeah. All right. Very interesting. It's a good game. I think it'll be close. Let's move on, though. Let's move to Sunday Night Football. This game's screaming at me. I mean, screaming at me. But I don't. I'll spoiler. I don't have this on my board. The Dallas Cowboys at the Pittsburgh Steelers. This spread, the Steelers are favored in this game, but I think it's 1.5. The last time I checked, I will confirm, and it is still 1.5. The Steelers are favorite. You could get the Cowboys as underdogs on the road here. They haven't played that well. They didn't look great against the Giants this past Thursday. So, 2 Thursdays ago when this is released. Jam, I want to take the Cowboys here, but and that would be my pick, but I'm not going to put them on my board. I just don't feel good about that team at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I thought about putting this on my board as well, but it's like you said, I don't feel strongly enough to actually do it. We know about the Steelers' favorites. It's usually over the years, especially the past couple of years. It's not a safe bet at all. It's a weird spot. The Cowboys have been favorited. I mean, you're talking about a team that's won 12 games 2 or 3 years in a row, so they haven't been underdogs in many games. It's a really tough spot. It's ugly football, most likely, and that usually comes hand in hand with Primetime and the Steelers. The Cowboys' passing game has been the only thing they could rely on. Now Brandon Cooks goes down with an injury. He had some sort of knee infection, so next man up for them. I'm guessing Jalen Tolbert is going to fill that wide receiver 2 role. The running back room has been non-existent. I mean, you think about the last time the Cowboys played Pittsburgh. You think about that great game in Pittsburgh. You think about that great game. What was it, 5 years ago, where Zeke scored the touchdown late against the Big Ben led Steelers, and I'm actually drawing a blank as to I'm actually drawing a blank as to who actually won that game. I don't remember if the Steelers came
Pittsburgh
back.
On the fake spike in the corner.
Yeah.
That game. That's like 2016. So 5 years ago. That's like 8-9 years ago.
Is it really, man? We're getting
time's flying. I remember that game. That's the last time Dallas played there.
That I can remember.
Yeah, I think so too. That game was like, we were in middle school or high school, early high school, and I remember like watching that game on the couch at my house, and then like the end of it, and saying, wow, I love football. Like that was like the moment where like football became like everything. Like that. Well,
those were two extreme. Yeah, the last time the Cowboys played in Pittsburgh was November 13th, 2016. The Cowboys won 35-30.
The Cowboys won?
The Cowboys won. So that was the fake spike with Antonio Brown catching the touchdown, and then Zeke broke off a big touchdown late to win it.
That's right.
Like right after that, they scored like right away. But my point of why I'm bringing this up is Ezekiel Elliott's still on the team, and that sounds cool, great. Zeke's still chugging, but he's barely chugging. This Cowboys running offense has been basically non-existent. So what you saw in 2016 with that exciting Steelers offense with the killer bees and that great Cowboys offense with Dez Bryant, Dak, and Zeke, those offenses are gone, and this is probably going to be a bit of an ugly contest. Should be a low-scoring one. What was the number? 1.5 for Pittsburgh, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with Dallas. Just like them to bounce back off of a not so great primetime win against the Giants, where they really weren't firing on all cylinders. I think they'll finally put together a good game here.
You know what? The one thing that I'm forgetting is that, and I actually might be switching my side here. I think I'm going to take the Steelers. You have no DeMarcus Lawrence in this game. You don't have Parsons is out, right? Is Parsons not playing?
Out. Yep.
So you don't really have anything on your defensive front. The left tackle, Guyton, right now, and I'm sure he'll be a good player one day. Right now, he stinks. Yeah. And this all offensive line. Terrence Steele didn't have the greatest day against the Giants. I don't know. I like the interior of the offensive line for Dallas. I don't love the tackles. I think there's a chance Dak is pressured all day, and with no run game and no Cooks, I'm going to flip that. I'm actually going to take the Steelers as favorites here at -1.5. Just thinking about the injuries.
Pittsburgh Steelers moving on to 4-1.
Yeah, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers move on to 4-1.
Nice.
We did the win-loss a couple of weeks ago on the Steelers, and it was interesting because
Yeah.
I ended up like when we did the win-loss, I gave them a loss here and I gave them a win against the Colts. I ended up picking the Colts the next week, and they won the game. The Colts did, and now I would flip that. I would say Dallas is going to lose here. You're going to get a Steelers 4-1 team.
Um, well, they're in good shape because you have the Ravens and the Bengals facing off this week. So that's a desperate Bengals team to try to get back in the hunt here at 1-3 at home. And the Ravens are just coming off of a great win against the Bills. So if they could have those teams beat up on each other, obviously one team's got to win, the other team's got to lose. To get a win here on Sunday night, move to 4-1. You're going to have one of those teams be either the Ravens at 3-2, or the better scenario for them is the Bengals win the game, and then both of them are 2-3, and the Browns, I mean, are not a worry at this point.
You're not worried about the Browns.
You're not worried about the Browns. Quick thing I wanted to say when you talked about Tyler Guyton, I'm wondering, I want your opinion on this. Do you think that at some point we're going to see NFL teams start to treat the left tackle position like they treat the quarterback position when it comes to rookies? Do you think at some point you are going to see the Jets are doing it right now, but it's a very special scenario, and the guy's actually playing now because Morgan Moses is hurt. But do you think we're going to see NFL teams start drafting left tackles very high in the draft like they do already, but sitting them for a little bit and letting them develop?
I don't know. That's a tough question because I feel like with left tackles, like, yeah, I mean, you got to be smart to play offensive line. We know that. But quarterbacks is a different position where it's so important for your quarterback to sit and learn. With left tackle, it's almost, with the line, it's about getting reps and about getting better. So I don't think it's a bad thing for a left tackle to struggle. It almost could be beneficial for a left tackle to stink in his first year and then really learn and try and develop. We've seen it go both ways. And I'll say it from a Giant standpoint, Andrew Thomas was not good in his first year. And ever since then, he's been a very good, solid left tackle in this league. One of the best in the league now. And then on the flip side, you have Evan Neal, who gets drafted right away, thrown in the fire as a right tackle, and he stinks. The one thing I'll say, JM, is I don't think you'll see, as crazy as this sounds, with some guys, I don't think you'll see them flip it. I don't think you'll see guys flip right to left as much as they used to, because that was the thing with Neal. Neal was a left tackle. They moved him to right. He stinks. I'm not saying he'd be a good left tackle, but that might have screwed with them mentally.
Right. Well, you see a lot of these guys coming out of college and they struggle at left tackle. And you wonder, Nick Saban said it on Hard Knocks when he was meeting with Eberflus talking about Caleb Williams and why a lot of these rookie quarterbacks fail. And one of the biggest things he said was, the pressure that's put on them. When you're drafted at left tackle and you're put in right away and, you're playing for a team that obviously they're having trouble protecting the quarterback. And, if you're protecting a quarterback who is one of the higher quarterbacks in the league, it's even more pressure at that point if your team has expectations and all that stuff. And you're also viewed as the leader of that offensive line, right? That or the center is who you view as the leader of that offensive line. So I wonder if some of these rookies feel that pressure stepping into the left tackle position right away, and that impacts their development. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the truth.
It's big. Listen, Tyler Smith, the guy that they drafted to essentially replace Tyron Smith, they moved him to guard, and he's an all-pro guard. And I wonder if it got so bad there, would they consider, if it got so bad at left tackle, would they consider moving an all-pro guard out of that guard position and taking a chance with him at left tackle? I don't know if they would do that. I don't know if I would. I mean, he's a great left guard, so it's a risky decision to make, but interesting. It's an interesting discussion on offensive line. I think throw them to the fire and let them struggle if they're going to struggle, because they need that experience. They need to get better. Quarterback's different story. You can ruin a guy.
Oh, you can 100% ruin a guy.
Right, we've seen it.
Yeah.
One of our friends called me the other night, and he was like, is it that bad on the Jets? Is it that bad on the Jets? Do the Jets look so bad right now that Geno and Darnold struggle? And I said yes and no. I was like, Geno was around a lot. Like the Jets, I don't think the Jets really ruined Geno. I think the Jets ruined and failed Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think they did that with Geno. Geno found something. All right, Jam, let's move on to the Monday night game. The Saints and the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites at home. To me, kind of a gross game here. The Chiefs haven't looked great to start this season. We talked about them in this week's episode of the Hardline. And the Saints are the Saints. They should have probably beat the Falcons in Atlanta this last week. They didn't. They really handed them that game. They fall to 2-2. I don't love the Saints. I'm not a fan of the coach. I like the coordinator. I don't love the coach, but it would not shock me where in a game the Chiefs, they don't cover much. Wouldn't shock me if the Saints were keeping this thing close.
Yeah, for the exact reason you just said, that the Chiefs really don't cover. Yeah, they don't. We talked about it in the episode earlier in the week. They're 4-0, and they have one of the lowest point differentials of any 4-0 team in NFL history. I mean, every game is down to the wire. You have them struggling offensively, which is something we're not used to. Sort of like how they started off last year as well. And we said that they're just not that offensive team anymore that you fear from the Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce days. Obviously, Travis Kelce's still there. They finally got him going last week. I still think that might have been a bit of a fluke. I think the days of washed up Travis Kelce are here. I don't know if he's necessarily completely washed up. I'm not saying that, but sort of like what you said on the podcast a couple weeks ago where you compared him to Gronkowski with the Buccaneers, where, regular season is sort of a snooze fest, and then he turns it on in the playoffs. I could see that as more of a thing. That connection doesn't go away between Kelce and Mahomes. But you lose Rashee Rice. Still nothing has been said about that. I mean,
That's
this
crazy.
is currently Wednesday as we're recording this. So hopefully by Friday when this gets released, something has been said. We're thinking ACL tear. But regardless, he's not available
We know he's not
week.
playing this week.
Oh, for 100% he's not going to play this week. And you were talking about the Saints. They should have won the game last week against the Falcons. They gave that away. They should have won the game against the Eagles the week before that. They gave it away. So you can make a strong case that they should be 4-0 right now. I really like the Saints in this spot just because of their ability to stay in games and Kansas City's disability to blow teams out.
The one thing I'm scared of is I think everybody's kind of caught on to the Chiefs here. It used to be a sharp thing to do to fade the Chiefs. And now I think the rest of the world is kind of caught on to the fact the Chiefs don't win big anymore. They don't cover these games. You really got to trust the defense. But I don't know. I think Kubiak over there, the offensive play caller for the Saints, will have a good game plan and keep this thing close. So I would take the Saints here with the points on Monday Night Football. JM, let's move to the star picks. I'll remind everybody of the standings very quickly. JM is 6-6 with 11 stars through 4 weeks. I am 4-8 with 7 stars. I got to get back on track. Since JM's in the lead, I will give him the choice. He could take the ball or defer here.
Mike, I'm going to defer again.
All right,
teams
JM.
defer.
All right. Well, I would have taken it. So there we go. All right. Pause. So I will take the Jets here plus the 2.5 in London. I had said in last week's episode that is a big coaching disadvantage, and there is. But I trust Aaron Rodgers in a spot where they're feeling the heat. Aaron's feeling the heat, not necessarily about his play, but his team is feeling the heat. I think Aaron has a big bounce back game in London against this Vikings team who is so due for the letdown. I'll almost start picking again. I love the Vikings. I do. And I think they're going to win the division. I think they're one of the best coach teams in the league. But I will start picking against them until they lose a game because they are due to lose a game. You're not going to be perfect. And this is a good spot for the Jet defense to really get it going and kind of take this team down. I mean, they have gotten it going. I shouldn't say they haven't played well. They've played really well the last 2 weeks. I expect them to do the same exact thing here against Sam Darnold and the Vikings. I will take the Jets plus 2.5.
Yeah, so do I. So I think for the first time this year, me and you have mirrored picks. My 1 star is also the New York Jets at plus 2.5. I did not have them on my board yet this season until this very moment. I stayed strong until the 5th week of the year. I actually had them, I remember, against the Vikings 2 years ago in the Mike White days. They lost that game as well, but they were on my board that week. So welcome back, Jets Vikings. Games in London. Mike, let me read you this. When I saw this, my head almost exploded. I don't think I've ever seen this, or maybe you have, and it's just my first time noticing something this crazy. So the difference in the public betting versus the money is absolutely absurd. So right now, 85% of the public is on the Vikings in this game with the spread, right? 19% of the money is on the Vikings. So all the big time bettors are putting their money on the Jets. You have 81% of the total money on the Jets with only 15% of the bets on the Jets. That's a 66% difference. I don't think I've ever seen that. And the next closest thing this week in terms of difference between bets and money is the Giants at 23%.
Yes, I've seen these lopsided ones before, but and that's the reason why I'm on the Jets here. But I'm shocked. I was shocked when I saw it because I think these professional bettors, they like to. The Orioles left them loaded, nobody out. They tied the game, but they left them loaded,
And the
nobody out.
Royals just left them loaded the inning before. I mean, not nobody out. There were 2 outs. That's crazy. Nobody out.
But I'm surprised they're on this with the coaching disadvantage. That I'm a little shocked by.
Yeah.
But I will trust the defense here with the Jets to step up and Rodgers to, be a professional and win a game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. My 2-star pick for the week. Where did it go? Here it is. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'll go back to them. The Cardinals killed me last week. I mean, they killed me. I was so confident in that pick as my 3-star. We'll take them plus the 7.5 in San Francisco this week as the 2-star. The Cardinals, listen, offensively, we know what they're going to be. We know they're going to score points. Defensively, well, they kind of really showed you what they are last week. I thought the defense was making some strides. They clearly weren't against Jaden Daniels, but in a division game here, still no Christian McCaffrey for the 49ers. I expect this game to be somewhat close, even if it's a backdoor cover late where they're up 14 and they score, make this a 7-point game. At 7.5 in the division, I'll take it. JM, nobody is talking about how good Brock Purdy is playing. Brock Purdy has had injuries all over the field. He hasn't had Christian McCaffrey yet, and he's playing like the best quarterback in the damn league. He needs some more respect on literally nobody. It's like the Purdy discussion is just gone. That's it. It's done. He's a top 5 quarterback in the league right now, and that's not a crazy thing to say.
That's not a crazy thing to say. He's really playing great. Shout out to you for putting that out there because not enough people are talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, I am going to right now at this moment. This is my 2-star. Viewers, I'm sorry if this changes, but we do it on Wednesdays. I don't think that this line's going to stay, but right now I'm going to snatch it up. I have the Denver Broncos at -1.5 as my 2-star. This Raiders team, there's drama this week about Devontae Adams. I literally just got the notification on my phone 30 seconds ago that he's not expected to play due to a hamstring injury. That's why I was saying this might move. But I locked this pick in before. Oh my God, I keep calling them the Oakland Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders are not a good football team. They're 2-2. They had a good win in Baltimore. They're coming off a win last week against Cleveland. I think when we look back at the end of the season, we're going to say, okay, that was a battle between 2 teams who are picking in the top 5 this year. 2 bad football teams just faced off. The Broncos, they're trending in the right direction right now. They just beat the Jets last week. The week before, they had a dominant performance against the Buccaneers. I'm not a huge fan of what I'm seeing out of Bo Nix in terms of as a passer, but as a runner, he looks good. The passing will progress as the weeks go on. But the big story about this team is the defense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are a legitimate defense that needs to be respected. Pat Surtain is, I mean, as a Jets fan, I'll say he's at least 1A with Sauce Gardner. He is fantastic. I just like the Broncos to shut them down. I'm getting a divisional matchup between the Broncos and the Raiders. I think the Broncos are the better team, and they're the home team, and they're only a 1.5-point favorite. Love this all day long. Broncos are my 2-star. And Mike, I don't think the Broncos have been on my board in the past, maybe since we've ever started doing this podcast, because I'm a resident Broncos hater, but I'm doing it this week.
You're back. You're back on the Broncos. You're here. We'll allow you in. I love the fact that you're taking the Broncos. I will allow you to take the Broncos. You have my permission as the number 1 Bronco fan here. Okay, so my 3-star pick is very interesting. It's kinky. I got to get uncomfortable, so I'm getting uncomfortable. You got to get uncomfortable with some of these, and this is uncomfortable. It's a game we talked about before. I'm going to take the Rams plus the 3 as my 3-star. Again, I think Sean McVay gets overlooked when we talk about one of the best coaches in the league. He's a top 5 coach in this league, and I think he's going to have his guys ready to go. Matt Stafford overlooked as well. They'll keep this game close. It's going to be a desperation spot at 1-3 for them. The division's weird, right? You have the San Francisco 49ers at 2-2 right now. You have a fraudulent team at the top, and the Cardinals are the Cardinals. So with the Seahawks being the fraudulent team, the Rams are in this thing if they can get a win here, and that's going to be their motivation going into this game, just like it was to save their season in the 0-2 game when they came back and beat the 49ers. So I think the Niner team is better than this Packers team, and they were able to beat them at home. I think there'll be less Packer fans there than there were Niner fans that day. It'll be a little bit more of a home field advantage for them than usual. I will take the Rams getting 3, the key number of 3, not so I could push here. And I wouldn't be happy, but I wouldn't be upset. I just wouldn't be happy. But in the gambling space, I wouldn't be too upset. I'll take the plus 3.
Well, listen, I think you like that number 3 a lot better when you're on the plus side instead of the minus side. It's a much different feeling when you're taking an underdog at 3. That's bold, dude. I like it. You're going out on a limb there. Rams are in a desperate spot. You love teams in a desperate spot. How could you not? They're going to come out in full force.
Yep.
Just like the Ravens did last week. Okay. My 3-star. Another game that we already talked about. I think we're taking a lot of primetime games on our board, but sorry, that's how it goes. I am going to be taking the New Orleans Saints at plus 5.5 as my 3-star. We talked about it before. I don't want to repeat myself. However, this Chiefs team is down on offensive talent. They have Isaiah Pacheco out for another 4, 5, 6 weeks. Rashee Rice goes down last week. There's names being mentioned out there to potentially trade for that Chiefs wide receiver room. I think you're going to see actually the emergence of this guy, Noah Gray. I think he's going to continue to get involved. He's sort of a guy who seems to be flying under the radar, but he's the guy when you're watching the Chiefs games for the past couple of years and you're like, Kelsey's on your fantasy team. And you're like, yes, Travis Kelce got a catch. And then he stands up and you're like, is that 83? Is that
he moves better? He's smaller and moves better, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
He's an athletic pass catching type of tight end. Definitely not a big stocky blocker. I really love the Saints in this spot. They play close. They've played close games for a 2-2 team. They've got a great point differential. The 2 games that they've lost have been down to the wire. I haven't seen them get blown out at any point yet this year. I like the Saints in this spot to keep it a close game and potentially win, because I think the Chiefs are due as a 4-0 team for a potential upset. We've seen that they're vulnerable even at home. If you think back to the Raiders-Chiefs game on Christmas Day last year, it's not like they're just inevitable. They're just invincible at home.
Yeah.
So I like Derek Carr and the Saints to come on the road here and cover this 5.5 point spread. It's a big number.
It's a big number. It is a big number, especially for a primetime game here. We love that. We'll run through the picks one more time. My 1-star, the Jets at plus 2.5, the Cardinals, the 2-star plus 7.5, and the 3-star, the Rams at plus 3. All dogs for me. I'm barking. Ruff, ruff.
My 1-star, I got the Jets at plus 2.5. My 2-star, I have the Broncos at minus 1.5. And my 3-star, the New Orleans Saints at plus 5.5.
I think we went 0 for 4 in our parlay, or 1 for 4 in our parlay. We're going to retire that for this week. We'll come back with something next week.
Come back and regroup.
Big trust on that.
Sometimes you need a bye week. You need time to sit and recuperate. That's what we're going to do.
If you've got any crazy parlay ideas you want to send to us, please do. If you've got crazy parlays that you put together, send through. We'll ride them. I'll ride everything. I'll ride anything. So,
wow. Clip that up.
So we'll regroup here with the parlay next week, get something going for you guys, and that'll do it. Make sure you check out the latest episode. We recapped week 4 a little bit, rumors around the NFL, and obviously thank you for watching the gambling show, the week 5 gambling show, and we'll talk to you guys next week.